feel like in every cool movie, there's a scene where they're driving in a car and they're filming from outside of the vehicle to get a unique perspective. And then sometimes they'll cut away to like the tire or the mirror while they're driving. And so I wanted to be able to replicate some of those shots. So I got myself one of these suction cup mounts. This is the 6-inch suction cup mount from Neewer. They sent this to me for free, but all my thoughts in this video are my own. They didn't pay me to say anything. So this is what I think about it. When you first get this in the mail, it's going to come with the suction cup, and then it's going to come with different mounting options like this little magic arm right here. And then it also has different adapters for like a GoPro or Insta360 or other action cameras, so you can use those. And then it also comes with these little screw bits for you to attach different items as well to it. And I accidentally got one of the little screws stuck in one of these ports when I was just testing it out. So I had to use pliers to get it out. It wasn't that big of a deal, but that is one thing I ran into, but that was probably just because I was tightening it down very strongly just because I was nervous my camera was going to fall off of it. To be able to use this is very simple and straightforward as well. All you have to do is stick this to a smooth surface, and then you have to keep depressing this lever until the white line doesn't show anymore, and that means it's going to be secured. And that honestly was one of the biggest things that I wanted to test out. Was I wanted to see if this would be able to hold my Canon R7 body with my Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter lens on it, because that lens is pretty heavy and it just sticks out pretty far away from the camera body, especially because I use an adapter as well. So I feel like all that weight hangs off the end of the camera. So there's just a lot of stress and strain on the mounting spot. So that is one thing that I really wanted to test out. On their website, they advertise that this should be able to hold up to 11 pounds while traveling at 50 miles an hour. And my camera lens is only 1.75 pounds and my camera body is only 1.3 pounds. So if I just average up, say it's around 4 pounds, this should be well able to hold that amount of weight. So that's what I tested out first. I stuck it to my window and put my camera on it. And what I found out was the suction cup did a great job. It was very strong. It was very firm. I didn't have any worries that this was going to come unstuck. But the one thing that seemed to struggle a little bit was this magic arm. I just don't feel like it quite had the strength to hold the weight of my camera. It would kind of droop and sag down a little bit, especially in certain positions that I put this in. It just seemed to not hold it as firm and securely. So this is the part that I feel like I was most nervous about. It wasn't actually the suction cup. The main reason I think that is because my camera lens weighs a decent amount and it sticks out so far away from my camera body that I feel like it's like if you hold a bowling ball out in front of you like this, it just is very hard to do. And I feel like that's the same strain that this was experiencing from the weight of the lens sticking out so far away from it. However, when I attached my Insta360 to this, or I even swapped out lenses to something more lightweight, this thing seemed to hold up fine, and there wasn't any swaying or bending to it, and there wasn't any movement on it. So I honestly just think the lens that I was using on my camera was the biggest issue. Something that kind of surprised me about this was I thought it was originally only supposed to go on like a window, but it actually can stick to a lot of different smooth surfaces. I was actually able to stick this to my drywall and it held up just fine. And I think that's really cool because now I can mount my camera in unique spots. I can literally put it over the top of a doorway while I'm walking underneath it and just get these unique shots that I wasn't previously able to get. And it's very quick and easy to use this, so you can quickly move your camera around to different spots in the room, stick it on a window, stick it on the wall, on the table. There's just a lot of different things that you can do with this. So the next thing I did was actually take this out on the road with me, and the first place I put it was on the inside of my window because I was still a little bit nervous that it was going to fall off. So I just mounted it on the inside of my vehicle, and this thing held up great. I live on a very bumpy road, and this thing seemed to handle the bumps with no problem at all. My camera stayed secure the whole time, and I did have my lighter lens on my camera, and this thing worked great. This magic arm didn't move at all. It still kept my shot locked off on me, and I thought it looked really nice. And the reason I used that different lens was because it's a 10mm lens. It's a little bit wider, so I was able to get a better shot on the inside of a vehicle where it's a smaller space, and this thing held up great. I didn't have any issues, and it's way better than my old setup. I would usually just set my camera down on my dashboard and then hope that it doesn't slide around while I'm driving. So this thing was way more secure. The last test I did was I stuck this to the outside of my car while I drove down the road. The first thing I had to do was wipe down a little spot to make it cleaner. That way this thing would actually adhere to the car versus slipping on the dust. So I did that and it stuck there perfectly. I used the Insta360 camera because it's a little more rugged and resilient. If water gets on it or dirt or dust, I didn't care as much if that got damaged versus my nice expensive camera. So I ended up using that and it worked great. I drove up to 60 miles an hour with it on here and it didn't seem to budge or wiggle or move, and the magic arm held very firmly and securely as well. So it seemed to work great for that camera, and I was really pleased at how the shots turned out looking. I just think they're just cool looking shots like that. So to me, I feel like this thing has been holding up great. It's actually a decent amount of weight. It also comes with this little screw right here that you can loosen up so that you can swivel the top of this to get it in a different orientation, which is nice. And then to be able to release it, all you have to do is hit these little knobs on the side here, squeeze them in, and then it detaches very easily. So this thing seems to be working great. The one investment I might make on top of this is getting like those safety cables. That way I can mount my more heavy camera to this with the peace of mind knowing that even if this fails somehow, that I have those cables attached to my camera to my car. That way it doesn't break on the pavement or anything. So that's probably the next thing that I'm gonna get. But I've been pumped with this thing. For only 35 bucks, I feel like that's a heck of a deal to get something that's gonna help you get so many more unique shots, especially if you're someone that drives a lot or wants to get those types of shots, or even in your house. Like I mentioned before, you can just mount your camera to all different types of places. So there it is, check it out. I'll put a link in the description below, and thanks for watching.